Hello!
Hi.
It is wonderful to welcome you to Questions of Life. My name is Cath and I'm here with Donald.
Hi, everyone. Nice to see you.
Now, at the start of our time together, Donald is just going to explain a little bit about this set that we are surrounded with, because you may be thinking we're in Sutton Coldfield Baptist Church, which we are, but it doesn't quite look the same. Explain some of this paraphernalia.
Well, we've brought bits and bobs from our office over. So I'm pretty scared and terrified about the next half an hour. So having a few things that are reassuring, and both of us tend to have some pretty weird things in our office. So we've brought one or two bits of bobs from our offices just to breed a little bit of familiarity.
Yes. Yes. Now, this may be your first time with us at Sutton Coldfield Baptist Church. This may be your first time of having thought about Christianity or some spiritual questions. If that is you, can we say a really warm welcome? The whole idea of Questions of Life is that Donald and I are going to chat through some of the questions that we have at the moment to do with faith, to do with life, and to do with spirituality. And I think at this time where we've got COVID-19, it's a time of perhaps uncertainty, it's a time of anxiety, and it's in those moments that I think some of these questions begin to come to the surface. And we don't always want to talk to our friends or our family about them, but we want to provide a place where we can gather together and where we can, in a really informal and relaxed way, just begin to explore some of these questions. So tonight, our question is about faith, and can faith help us during this time of COVID-19, during these times that we are facing at the moment? So what I thought we would do to kick things off is to, Donald, just ask you a question. We're in the middle of this crisis. We're in the middle of a global pandemic. You personally, how has it affected you? How are you feeling in the midst of it? What are your thoughts and reflections?
Well, I think for me, it's difficult to say a general total feeling, because a different, even every different hour, I feel different things. There's a whole range of thoughts, from calmness to anxiety to apprehension to concern. I think that uncertainty about the future, not knowing what's going to happen, is something that affects me. And my guess is that lots of us will feel different things. And some of the things I feel, others won't feel. Some of the things that others feel, perhaps I don't feel. So there's no one right answer. But I have lost a lot of sleep at times worrying. The particular thing I worry about is, am I doing the right thing? Am I going to make a decision or a choice that's going to let people down in terms of the church, in terms of the people who perhaps use our food bank, and all the kind of decisions that we need to make? So a lot of anxiety around decisions. I have my mum is 91, so I have concerns for my mum. There are times, right at the very beginning, I had a cough about, 4 or 5 weeks ago, and that lasted for about 3 or 4 weeks, and you thinking, is there something wrong with me? Sometimes just as you're going to sleep or you're waking up, you're trying to work out, am I breathing properly? So all of that kicks in. I wouldn't say for me there's been a particular anxiety about, am I dying? For me, it was all about, am I going to let people down? Could somebody catch something off me? Do I have something? What happens if I can't do the things that I said I would do for people? So those kind of things. I think I remember feeling very thrown when Boris Johnson went into hospital. And just thinking, gosh, this is really serious. What happens to our society? What happens to our world if people like him get ill? And that unsettled me, and I was quite shocked at how I was unsettled by that. So I think sometimes the early morning or the late at night are the worst times, and then at other times I feel fine. I feel this is okay. We can manage this. We know what we're doing. So a whole range of things.
I think it's interesting because you were shocked when it first happened. And for me, I kind of went into overdrive. And I went into this sense of, I want to know what's happening on social media, what are people saying, and I just fed myself with so much news. And very quickly, I got to the point of saturation where I'm like, I can't cope with this. It completely freaked me out. So I wasn't sleeping at night. I wake up early in the morning, and it was just going round and round in my head. And so I made the decision, I'm just going to watch the news once a day. I'm not going to interact a lot with social media because it just messed with my head, and it just raised my anxiety levels. And I think now I'm in a more of an even keel kind of place. But I think it's made me realise, and this is going to sound odd, but how much I love and miss my parents. You know, things that I've taken for granted. They live an hour and a half away. I can't get to go and see them. They're over 70. You worry about them being sensible and staying in the house. And I feel like I'm a parent to them at times, saying, oh, you've got to do the right thing and this, that, and the other. And you think, well, what's happened to me? And I think as well, just the uncertainty. When are we going to come out of lockdown? What will that look like? What will that mean? And missing people. You know, I think I'm quite a people person, like yourself, not. But I miss just that interaction, just meeting up with people, going out and stuff. And it's just, I don't know, it's turned the world upside down in a sense, isn't it?
Yeah.
We just have to think about things very differently.
Yeah.
And I wonder how, in the midst of all of that for you, you know, we're talking about questions of life. We're talking about faith. And does faith have a place in what's going on at the moment? How would you say that faith has helped you during this time of crisis?
Well, I think firstly I should explain that I brought my dog with me.
Yes,
and,
that's an act of faith.
who is snoring.
She's lovely.
She's an old lady and she's snoring. And I've been very grateful to have a dog that means I can get out and walk without feeling that there's anybody watching me for walking. She's woken up now just because we talked about her. I think there are probably three big things for me right now. And they sound really obvious in terms of for a Christian, but I think they've taken on renewed importance. I think for me, the Bible has become incredibly. I did a devotional about it that was on our website a couple of weeks ago. It's become an anchor. Now, that sounds a terrible thing because it's my job to teach the Bible. So how has that only just become an anchor? And I don't mean it's just become an anchor. But I mean, one of the things that I find in Scripture is that this crisis is normal for the Bible, is normal for history. And one of the things that I think has really thrown us is that in the last century, we have got used to the average age going up and up and up. So 150, 200 years ago, you were an old person if you were my age in your 50s, and you didn't expect to live to 90. And we now expect to live way into our 80s, and we're shocked by death, we're shocked by fragility. When you read the Bible, you're encountering people who have lived through trauma, who've lived through pandemics, it talks about plagues, who've lived through battles and wars and injustice and oppression, persecution and isolation. And the words have stood the test of time. The words have lasted. And so I found reading the Bible every day and finding, particularly something like the Psalms, just reading, I try and read a Psalm every day. Some of the prayers in the Bible, just find that has really brought me back to a sense of perspective. That this isn't all some huge disaster that's gone wrong, that God has understood these things, that he's been with generations past and he's with us now. It's not that it's his intentional plan or purpose, but that he has shown that he's with people in times of suffering. So the Bible has become really important to me, and just finding that life from that. I think the second thing about faith has been just the ability to talk to God and the ability to pray. And the ability to express what I'm feeling. I talk to God sometimes by writing, sometimes by talking out loud, wandering around the garden, sometimes out walking the dog, and just talking about what I'm feeling and what I'm afraid of, and being able to bring the people that I'm worried about to him, and to pray about the people that I'm concerned for, the people that I'm thinking about. And I found that immensely valuable, and finding a sense of peace and just discerning and feeling God's presence both through Scripture and through prayer has been really, really important to me. I think the two other things, I said three, but I'm going to wander into four, I'm going to waffle into four. I think the two other things, just the minor thing in one sense for me, but I think it's a major thing for lots of people, is just an assurance that this life isn't all there is. And that whatever goes wrong here, God puts right in the future. And that's always meant a lot to me in times of suffering. And we have a hope beyond this. And I think the last thing to say is just a sense for me, what's really important to me about faith has been having a sense of purpose and direction, what am I meant to be doing. And in all of this, constantly going back to God and saying, Lord, what would you have me do? What can I do to help others, to strengthen others, to bless others, to encourage others? And to have that sense of focus and purpose has really helped me. So I guess those are, probably if you ask me next week, I'd come up with 4 different things, but I guess that's where I'd start tonight.